TM, everyone. My name is Matthew, and I'm a contributor at Juicebox DAO. In this tutorial series, we're going to look at customizing token settings for your Juicebox project, whether you're setting up your project for the first time or editing a future cycle. In part 1, we'll go over total issuance rate, reserved rate, and reserved token recipients. Before we get started, it's worth noting that by default, supporters of your Juicebox project won't receive ERC20 tokens in their wallet when they pay your project. Instead, the protocol will keep track of contributions using an internal accounting mechanism in the JB Token Store contract. If you decide to create an ERC20 token for your project, contributors will then be able to claim those tokens. But this is completely optional. To do this, go to the Tokens tab on your project page and click Create ERC20. You can then choose your token name and symbol, click Create Token, and confirm the transaction in your browser wallet. So, first we'll look at total issuance rate, which determines how many tokens are minted per 1 ETH. By default, this is set to 1 million. So if someone contributes 1 ETH to your project, they get 1 million tokens. If you're new to tokenomics, here are a couple examples of how you might use tokens for your project. One of the most common uses for ERC20 tokens is governance. Maybe you want to start a DAO and use your project token to let supporters have a say in how project funds should be used. This can be done by creating an ERC20 token for your project and setting up a snapshot space for off-chain voting. Another great use for project tokens is membership. So maybe you're a content creator, a DAO, or a social club, and token holders can get access to a private Discord server, exclusive merch, or other token-gated perks. The next setting we'll look at is reserved rate, which allows you to reserve or set aside a portion of the tokens issued when someone contributes ETH to your project. So, if you had a total issuance rate of 1 million tokens per ETH and you set the reserved rate to 25%, 250,000 tokens would be set aside, and the person contributing ETH to your project would get the remaining 750,000 tokens, or 75%. This brings us to reserved token recipients. Now that you have a percentage of newly minted tokens reserved, you can choose who will receive these tokens. By default, reserved tokens are sent to the project owner, but you can configure this to be split between multiple addresses or even other Juicebox projects. So, for example, I could add Briley.eth and give her 50%. So this will now be split 50-50 between the project owner, me, and Briley. Before wrapping up, let's consider why you would want to reserve a portion of your tokens. The most common reason to use reserved rate is to set aside a portion of newly minted tokens for contributors working on a project so that they accrue governance voting power and have a vested interest in seeing the project succeed. Other addresses you might add to the reserved list could include project advisors, investors, or organizations that provided a grant to your project. And that's it. We've covered total issuance rate, reserved rate, and reserved token recipients. Remember that although you can change your project's tokenomics in a future cycle, you should always keep in mind how these decisions might affect both past and future supporters. For example, if you set your total issuance rate to 10,000 tokens per ETH in cycle 1, and then change it to 100,000 tokens per ETH in cycle 2, early supporters in cycle 1 will have paid 10 times more for their tokens than supporters in cycle 2, and will be significantly diluted as a result of new payments to the project. Your project's tokenomics are first and foremost about building trust, so make sure to plan out these decisions carefully and thoughtfully. All right, thanks for watching part 1 of this series on customizing your Juicebox project token settings. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll cover issuance reduction rate and redemption rate, and how you might use them in different types of projects on Juicebox. If you need help along the way, reach out in the support channel in Juicebox Discord at discord.gg/Juicebox.